British English is different from American English. Do you know which of the two versions of the language we follow in India? In this video, I'm going to focus on the differences in spelling between the two. It's not okay to mix both types of spelling in your writing, and there's an easy way to avoid it. All this and more coming up. But first, do subscribe to The English Nut. Thank you. After studying maths for years in school, I went to the US and started studying math. You see, in British English, mathematics is abbreviated to maths with an S at the end, while Americans shorten it further by knocking off the S. It's important to underline the fact that we follow British English in India, which is why I take the lift to get to my flat on the 6th floor, but an American would take the elevator to get to his apartment on the 6th floor. My friend Ankita gets petrol for her car at the petrol pump. An American would get gasoline, abbreviated to gas, at the gas station. My English friend Robert likes to eat aubergine, whereas an American would prefer eggplant. Most of the differences I've mentioned so far are in the vocabularies of British and American English. In the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about the differences in spelling between the two versions of English. This is important because it's sloppy to mix up the two types of spelling. And in formal writing, it's simply not acceptable. There are a number of differences in spelling between the two forms of English. One of them is in the set of words that end with OUR in British English. I'm talking about words like color, flavor, honor, odor, neighbor, labor, and so on. Americans end them with just OR. Then there are certain words that end in RE in British English: center, fiber, sceptre, theatre, in which the RE at the end flips to ER in American English. In America, the British spelling of theatre is occasionally used as well. There are some Americans who say that the place where a play is performed is a theatre spelt with RE, and the place where a movie is screened is a theatre spelt with ER. Which brings us to another interesting point. Americans watch movies at the theatre, Brits watch them at the cinema. As in, the place itself is called a cinema. In India, we sometimes call it a cinema hall. The AE or OE letter combinations in British spelling are often replaced with just E in American spelling. Encyclopedia, anemia, leukemia, and pediatric, for example. The AE becomes E in American English in these words. Archaeology is an exception. It's usually spelt with an AE even in American English. Estrogen, diarrhea, and manoeuvre in British English drop the O in the OE combination when moving to American English. Note the double whammy in the American spelling of manoeuvre. Not only does it drop the O from the British spelling, the RE at the end is also changed to ER. When a suffix is added to verbs that end in EL, they are spelt with a double L. Cancelled, jeweler, marvelous, travelling contain an ELL in British English but are spelt with just EL in American English. In the previous example, words containing double L in British English lost an L when they moved to American English. But words like enroll, fulfill, and skillful, which contain a single L in British English, gain a second L in American English. The past tense of these single-syllable verbs is spelt with a T in British English. Learnt, burnt, dreamt, smelt, leapt, and spelt itself. They are spelt with ED in American English though. Defense, offense, pretense, and license end in ENCE in British English. They end in ENSE in American English. The person we have to blame for all these differences in spelling is American lexicographer Noah Webster. He produced a couple of dictionaries in his lifetime. His objective was to reform spelling and make it more in line with the American pronunciation of the words. Words like appetizer, familiarize, organize are spelt with ISE in British English but IZE in American English. Note that verbs like advise, advertise, and improvise are spelt with ISE everywhere in the English-speaking world. Confusing? Since we follow British English, just use ISE and you're unlikely to go wrong. Similarly, words like paralyze, catalyze, electrolyze, and analyze that end in YSE in British English end in YZE in American English. Words like analog, dialogue, catalogue and epilogue, which end in OGUE in British English, are spelt with just OG in American English, though the OGUE ending is also recognized in American English. Here's a random list of words that are spelled differently in the two languages. The color grey is spelled Grey in British English and Gray in American English. We spell plough Plough, they spell it as PLOW. We spell program with MME at the end, they drop the last two letters. We end check with QUE, they end it with CK. We spell tire with a Y, they do so with an I. We spell pajamas with a Y, they do so with an A. We say aeroplane and spell it AEROPLANE, they say airplane and spell it AIRPLANE. A simple way to ensure that you use correct spellings is to set the spell checker on your app to British English, unless you happen to live in the United States. One last point before I end this video, it's about the letter Z. We call it Z in British English, Americans however call it Z. If you know any other words that are spelt differently in the two versions of English, do write them below. I'm the English Nut. Bye for now.